Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First up, we have approval of minutes from November 8th, public and non-public.
Make a motion that we approve the public and non-public minutes of November 8th.
Anyone want a second? Candace, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, sorry, I'm not hard here. All right, any comments, questions, concerns, feedback? I didn't see anything pop up because they were way better than any minutes I could put in. I have to for some things. These are. I'm glad you do this like this, Kamala, because it helps me in my job when I have to take minutes for other things. I think about Kamala to take minutes. And,
You're sweet.
well, it's true. It's true. These are very easy to read.
Like having a central piece where you can point people for information, and so that they know that real discussions were had and
We actually talked about stuff. and
people
good stuff.
care.
Anything else on that? All good? All right. All those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from November 8th, public, non-public, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right.
So technically, for Vicky, because
Yes.
she wasn't a member until non-public,
Yes.
I'm just gonna have that you abstain from this one.
Okay.
Because it wasn't official, I didn't sign you in until
Sure.
the non-public session, okay? But even though you weren't there, you know what was going on. All right, thank you.
So if there's any, I should preface this. If there's any like procedural thing that we're doing, you're like, what's going on? Please pipe up that we're very low key. We're not.
Okay, fair enough.
And just so, like if you're not at a meeting, like if you miss a meeting for whatever, then you just abstain from those minutes because you can't confirm that they're actually legitimate. So, all right. Up next we have public comment. Hello, public.
Hi there.
Hi there.
I've got
Riley,
either-
anything for us this
I've
morning?
either got 4 questions or one big question with 4 parts.
Hit it.
Because I read DFA, the policy, and I read what you said. I guess I've got some questions like, when's the last time the audit went out to bid? When was the last time we actually did an internal control audit? See, because DFA says, you are doing it, when did we actually do it? Because it has to be a part of the engagement letter with the auditors. And when was the last time Finance Facility or the board had a presentation from the auditors? Because a lot of towns actually have the auditors in to give a presentation with them, so you get to ask questions. And the other one has to do with the investments themselves. Because we are not the people that are handling it, it's actually the trustees of the trust fund of the town of Canaan. Do we actually know where it is invested? Or do we just have a policy for investment?
I think we do. We do know where it is. We did talk about that when we, at some point. Amanda, do you have?
And I met with them a few months ago to go over the investment portfolio as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to throw any information that's incorrect at Dan right now, so
Right.
I'd love
No,
to
no.
take his questions.
Yes.
And I will be happy to respond to you, Dan, but we are getting the auditors in. Hope has spoken with them, so they'll be in to present.
Great.
So that's, I can confirm that. The other pieces, I don't want to give you any information.
I couldn't find them because the management letter is not in the annual reports. And that's when you find where you'd know if there'd been an internal control or not, audit or not.
Yep.
Just for the record, I haven't quite called yet, but it's on my list.
It's on your list. Okay.
On the radar.
But
I
hope
was
is
going
on
to.
it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
Can I go sponsor this?
That's all.
Okay. All right.
So,
Thank you. All right. Continuing business. We'll skip over our student representative report as she is on vacation, I'm sure, already. Those kids were right out the door today. Budget committee from the 7th. Let's see. Hope, do you have any updates?
No, that was the last
presentation.
Yes.
presentation. Right. And,
Yeah, we did the SAU
we
budget.
did the SAU, then the district in the special education budget. So there was a lot to go over. And there are some helpful changes in the special education. It's down just over 1%, which is really good for special education.
Yep.
And we do not have any anticipated out-of-district placements at this time, and if we did, they would use the capital reserve fund.
Yep.
So that was pretty good. We talked a little bit about the health insurance premiums, which we did go over in the working committee, and they did come in under the budgeted amount, which definitely helped the overall budget. I think we went in, well, that's kind of on the next report, but that helped a lot. As usual, it was just line by line. There was some talk about the increases in OT, PT, speech. We had increases for contract services. We talked about the rehiring NEC for IRS, I believe.
Correct.
And which was basically kind of a wash, as it was offset by a difference in a teacher at IRS. Let's see, so yes. And that the NEC program is going to be, costs are going to be covered in the district-wide budget, I think. No? Anyway, I'm reading.
Can you say that again?
That we're replacing NEC program at IRS, and those costs are covered in the district-wide budget. Is that? Anyways, that was in the minutes.
Yep, I believe that's where they landed cost.
We went through the SAU budget line by line. Talked about locking in prices for propane and electricity. The district-wide budget, there was an increase in the dental insurance costs. Talked a little bit about the transportation contract going out again. And really, it was just, line by line, kind of as usual. The good news is, I think going into this, the old, in the original presentation, I think IRS was down by 3.5%, but the high school is up, and that was pretty much a wash. CES and EVS were up about 2.5 and 1.7, and the SAU was up by 1.5, but the overall budget, new number, is increased by 0.11%. I think a lot of that was factored in with the reduction in the health insurance costs, and that was a nice thing. So it looks good going into budget season, and that's a good thing.
0.11%.
Yeah.
Woo!
And
I wanted it
though-
closer, but I couldn't.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that was all good. It all just sort of washed out to that number, which was great.
Even that's not like a skin and bones budget. That's it's got stuff that we're doing stuff with.
Right.
We're doing what we need to.
Yes,
and
that factors in
replacing things.
improvements at
Yeah.
EVS and CES and IRS and facilities improvements, and I think there's some bump in the music
Yes.
department,
Mhm.
and then the high school, more activity, co-curricular, so yeah.
Yeah. When do we know the default budget? Do you know? It's like closer to December, right?
Closer to December.
Yeah, like later
It's
in
on the
December.
agenda for the next.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any questions on that for Hope?
The next meeting is 12/5, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
which is the joint school budget, budget committee and the school board meeting.
All right.
And that's it.
Cool. All right. And up next, we have joint loss management committee. Amanda, looks like you're the
That
only
looks
one.
like it's me.
Looks like you're the only one on there.
So you do have the minutes, obviously not taken by Camilla. In this, we did review the workers' compensation and injury reports and looked at those. Basically, there were no recommendations. But we did come across an issue potentially with some sharpness around some of the lockers, so that'll be checked. Then we also looked at the school safety checklists. So those were reviewed. We look in great shape, as usual, for school safety. The final thing that we did do, because the purpose of this group is to look at trainings that could be provided to staff, is decide that we would reach out to Primex to see what they would have for de-escalation or helping teachers understand physical altercations and how to best deal with them. So we have reached out to Primex. We are looking at scheduling, starting with scheduling a de-escalation piece and some other trainings from there. So it was a great meeting. We were able to really accomplish the purpose of it, which is to look at trainings that we could provide staff or that might be needed.
Awesome. Any questions for me? Just on a note, since that's about safety, I emailed Angel this from my work. We are helping coordinate training classes for chemistry and art teachers with hazardous waste materials
Oh, excellent.
that you might have in your chemistry or art room. I spoke with Ann Duty today, actually, and she's taken it before, but she may take it again. She's going to let the other new teachers know about it, but I did send it to Angel. I don't know that she necessarily got the email all the way through. It's in the spring, but it's like a $35 PD credit, and it's fairly cheap, and it's in Claremont, so.
Beautiful, thank you for that.
Yeah, no, our pleasure. So, gotta keep them safe. All right, up next, co-curricular.
All right, so you've got the minutes in your packet. We met on November 10th. We talked about community partners that we would like to make sure have access or who are invited to the meetings, you know, and thinking about our strategic plan and also our goals, knowing that we don't need to be all things to all people, but being the connective tissue that brings all that stuff together is important. So, and we will have this will continue to be one of those meetings that will have not only an in-person option for those that are, that can, but especially to help facilitate some of these community partners, having a Google Meet as an option, so that we can get some of the rec and other sorts of folks involved. So that's there. We had a great update from Steve Stebbins here at the high school regarding what's going on with co-curricular clubs and teams. He reported out a ton of stuff happening with different science club and trips and like just good stuff. So that was great. For the next meeting, we talked about trying to get a little bit more of that information from IRS as well, so that we can, again, kind of see what the breadth and the depth of those activities are. And yeah, so we have our next meeting scheduled for January 12th.
Any questions on that?
I'm not really absent because I'm not supposed to be on.
I was gonna
All right, we'll take you off.
have to be, but
If it makes you feel better, I was absent too.
I'm gonna have to pay our secretary.
We'll never make it. Never make it.
just
We'll address that before
Yes.
we
supposed to
approve
be
these
there,
minutes.
folks.
She just misses it.
Yeah, you brought everything with me.
That's right.
Yeah.
I have a co-curricular update. I just found out this afternoon. The high school Granite State Challenge team, last Saturday they went to Plymouth State and did their qualifying rounds, and they made the qualifiers, and they will be one of 16 teams competing on TV this winter. So
Wow, that'll be
good for
great.
them. So they qualified on their own merits, which was they were very happy of.
Excellent.
So bring it back. All right. Up next, let's see. Is it superintendent's report?
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm just looking here. I don't have the agenda. Yeah, superintendent's.
Good guess then, Tim.
Uh-huh.
So you do have my written report in your packet. More congratulations go out to the boys cross country team, D3 state champs this year.
IRS.
IRS?
Yes.
Oh, okay, IRS. It says D3, okay, so, yeah. IRS, mine doesn't mention it. Well, that I knew, and that I already talked about. I
Yeah.
thought our other boys did well too. So we did have our final work session yesterday. The budget did come in at about a 0.11% increase. And that is correct, Tim, with very little, we're not cutting any programming, we're not cutting athletics, we're not cutting music, we're not cutting drama, we're not cutting any opportunities for kids. We did go down one teaching position at the Indian River School, that is due to enrollment. And so we feel that we will have classes that are not overcrowded, but actually at a more optimal number, right? We'll start to spread kids out too much, and that's not good for kids either. So very happy with that budget so far. I also talked a little bit about the work that Angel's been doing. She's been working with the high school a lot lately. She has been working with their scheduling committee. And she's also been working with the NEASC accreditation committee. So she's been spending a fair amount of time here at the high school and really working well. Those groups are making some wonderful progress. So we're happy to see, I'm excited to see the work that comes out of those and some of the final determinations. We're a little bit behind in NEASC. The accreditation year is quickly approaching, but I think Angel just means we have more work to do. We lost a little bit of time in swapping principals so often, and then we also lost some time with the pandemic. So we will catch up, and we don't expect that to be an issue. Perhaps you have heard, and I think Danielle talked about tutor.com a little bit ago. We're seeing a lot of districts move that way. They seem to have ironed out some of the issues that are there. We're still a little bit concerned with PII, as Craig Sutton would say. We don't want to be giving out PII. So I believe your consortium, Craig, is that correct?
Yep.
Is called the what?
NHCTO?
Yes, the NHCTO. So that is the consortium that Craig does of tech directors that looks at app vetting, correct?
Yeah.
So, look at me. So they have a call into the state, and they're looking at making sure that tutor.com upholds all the privacy requirements that we would want, and that other school districts in the state would want. So as soon as we get that blessing, we're going to push that forward and offer it to our kids. Do parents have to take advantage of it? Nope, but might it be a good opportunity for kids to be able to call someone and get some help, or Google Meet and get some help? I think so. So I don't want to deny that opportunity to our kids, and other districts have had success with it. So we'll just continue to monitor it. We've taken the more cautious route, but we are looking. It's looking like it's safe, and we'll be headed that way.
Awesome. Any questions for Amanda on that? Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the.
Well, I have a
go ahead.
question on the tutor. So the parents obviously engage with the tutor.com and the kids. Is there any feedback loop to the teacher? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. Yep, and it'll track progress for us also.
And then the teacher has that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
good.
I just wanted to make sure it was safe.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm always overly
Yeah,
cautious
yeah.
about,
No,
24/7 tutoring services. Just,
Sounds
I
good.
just needed it to be safe.
Well, yeah, I'm glad Craig is on the consortium to approve and vet.
Yeah.
And yeah, once the state looks at it, then yeah, that's awesome.
Now, is this free or will there?
It is free. It's
It is
sponsored
free.
by the New Hampshire Department of Ed, so
Okay.
yes.
So then it should be vetted, no problem, because it's their program, so it should meet 16.
We just like to make sure
I'd like to
they
make
dot and cross.
Someone's got to check. I was just saying, I'm excited to see what the scheduling committee comes up with. We just kind of said, look at what's best for kids and what changes would you make, because no one's looked at the schedule in 20, 30 years. So. And I even had a conversation with somebody about it, and I said, you can look at shifting the school day too. Like, if it makes sense to shift by 10 minutes, do that. So there's nothing you can't do. All right. Business Administrator report. Rob.
Good evening, short and sweet here. As we've already mentioned, the Budget Committee did their work session, came out with a great budget. Default budget and warrant articles will be presented at the next meeting, as it's listed on agenda items. And we have more donations coming in. Enfield PTA for the Blue Ribbon celebrations We're very proud of EVS for this award, and our community likes to engage in our happiness and financially support us with all the celebrations. And also there's a New Hampshire Dance Institute for the 2 elementary schools where they bring in dance troupes and do some dance instruction with the students. So we got another donation towards that. Very generous contributions. And that's it for me.
All right, any questions for Rob?
I have a couple. The last financials that we got was on October 31st, included in the packet.
Right.
And are we going to be getting those monthly, or I didn't see any listed online, or how are you planning on presenting those?
The monthly financials?
Well, we usually get them, yeah, I mean, so are we going to get this just at the end of the month, or?
Usually you get it at the first board meeting of the month, after the previous
Okay,
month
yeah, I went back to
closes.
my packets and I saw that we got them on 10/31, so. So the
For
first of
October?
the month?
That was for October, right?
Yeah.
That was October, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so was that for November, or? I feel like we got them a little bit more frequently before. So how is it gonna look for us?
It's always been the next board meeting after the end of a month. I
Okay,
usually give the financials within the board packet that way. And I think I might have been lucky that I just hit October 31st, so I was able to get October's out. And
Yeah, because we didn't have a board meeting until the 8th.
okay, so we'll see the next financials in December.
you'll see November financials at the December 5th meeting.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because I was getting a little confused. And then the next meeting, we are going to be looking at the MS-25.
Yes.
Okay, and that also, are we going to be getting before the meeting? Or?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll definitely, or it'll be online.
No, I can give everyone a copy.
Okay, so it'll be
And that'll be part of
posted.
the MS-25 was already posted.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so that's already posted.
Yes. So I think this is the MSDS 25, which
That's
is the
what I'm
default
thinking,
budget.
yeah, MSDS, okay. So I guess I'm just a little concerned that we'll have time to look at it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Is that usually in our packet though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have it ahead of time in our packet.
Okay,
We
well, we
should-
didn't last time,
We didn't? All right.
so.
So now we should though. So. All right. Any other questions for Rob? Okay. Up next then, quarterly reports. Craig, you're here, so you want to go first?
Sure. I have no NSDS3 forms, whatever those are. So just to start, I'd like to start with, since it's Thanksgiving, a little bit of thank yous to we got a couple tech people here tonight. Seth's doing a great job in the AV department. Anywhere from filming games to musicals to theatrical productions and supporting all our interactive flat panels that we've actually just finished the both elementary schools' deployment of interactive flat panels, and hopefully we can get these next 2 buildings done in the next couple of years. So that's pretty cool stuff. Kamla's been working hard. Well, this is a big enough thank you with David Allen and myself and Angel building the back end of our new student information system called OMA. That's pretty near ready. I think we got 1 or 2 meetings with that before staff get trained, admins and staff get trained on that. So that's right where we want it to be this time of the year with that whole back end build of our new student information system. I do point out in the report here that a few weeks ago we doubled our bandwidth speeds in the district. That's a pretty big deal, I think. You know, everything's online these days. We do online learning software, online testing software. Anything we do is basically online nowadays. And not that we weren't adequate before, but the jump to 1 gigabyte for this district is just, I think it's unprecedented. I think it's great. Certainly speeds up things in every aspect of this district to more than adequately serve streaming needs to online testing needs and every learning need in the middle. So, and not only that too, we've expanded our outdoor access points, so that'll also assist any kind of, well, really for the most part, if Seth needs to run around with cameras and needs wireless connectivity. But, you know, any public person that doesn't have it, you know, for their student, whatever, could come, you know, and jump on to our guest account as well. So hopefully that gets used at some point. So that's good stuff with that. One of the biggest, really, day-to-day concerns, you know, like, we all kind of go to bed with like, all right, that's the biggest thing on our minds tonight, and you can't sleep sometimes. But, you know, mental health, the tech department plays a pretty big role in supporting mental health in the district. We have 2 pieces of software that help detect anywhere from self-harm to hate speech to even subtleties in student reports that we might find or get flagged in the software. And then I take that information, I send it to a principal to, you know, investigate. We're also pretty instrumental, and it's refined itself well, the whole telehealth and telespeech stuff that kids are doing. So that's gotten better as the years progressed as well. The access now, it's they come in, they go in the back room there, and over there they go to Mr. Toll's office at the middle school. And at first it took a little bit to get it going, but that's working really well right now. So I think that's a very important part of the day, that when I'm looking at reports, you know, we can trace history of kids if we need to, much easier than we used to be able to. So if there's a situation and then I get a call like, well, what else is going on with this? We can dig a little deeper, and then they can decide to send it off to a social worker or to another counselor or whatever. So, and I'll be frank with you, it's once or twice a week that there's a critical event with that that's detected. It's a rough time of year anyway, so there's going to be more of that stuff. So that's pretty good. I mentioned the AV club. Seth's doing also the after-school stuff, as well as he'll be streaming some basketball games. Maybe we'll have some color this year. Somebody do a little bit of color, basketball. He's also supporting ELOs. And security, key cards, we continue to, well, at least on the tech side of things, because there's like 3 or 4 different components to these doors and locks, but we're upgrading our whole back-end servers to have a more robust current system for our key card systems to just help secure things a little more. And we, you know, that the good thing about that is we kind of figured out a way that wasn't going to cost us any money, because I thought it was going to, but it didn't. So we were able to upgrade the servers and the key card controllers without any additional cost. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, I think that's what I got there, unless there's any questions.
All right, any questions for Greg?
The mental health risk that you're talking about, which I think is wonderful. So the process is, it obviously goes somewhere, so there's a team that you work with?
Yeah, so usually what happens, I'll get a flag, you know, and I'm not judge, jury, I just, if it's inappropriate, I call anywhere from a subtlety to an overt, and I send it to a principal, and it's always, it's an inappropriate email, I don't use names or whatever, so they need to call me, but I just flag it, flag the statement, and then
so it goes to the principal.
it goes, they're like, I'm on it, we're investigating it, and I know they'll go right to a clinician or right to Mr. Bunton, or, you know, I know they are looked at right off.
Right.
Yeah, so that's, and after that I don't really know, but
right.
I know
the
chain of events happens pretty quick.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the tech initiative, the wireless coverage. New Hampshire is getting a lot of money for rural MiFis. Is that what they're called? Do you know if that's anything to do with, like, does any of that money funnel down? Because I know that during COVID, you were very careful and concerned about getting those spots for the kids that didn't have the access. I felt like the New Hampshire was getting like $100 million for that particular issue. Is that,
I think it's for actual last mile broadband.
that's it?
Yeah,
Yes,
not the
thank
little
you.
MiFis though.
Oh,
It's
it's
actually
not.
like
I think it's
typing.
more fiber.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
something,
all right.
yeah.
For
Yes.
some reason, I conflated the two.
No, there's a lot of different initiatives going on, so it's totally,
Okay.
yeah, no,
Yeah, I didn't know if that was something that was coming to the schools, or if that was specifically New Hampshire.
oh, good.
Yeah, okay.
There's like a mapped out place where they're doing, I sat in on the first 3 meetings with that.
Right.
And I know a little bit that,
Yeah.
you know, there's this pipeline designation that they're doing it. Actually, I can't remember where I was. I think I might have been going to a soccer game, but they were doing the construction there, and you could see that they were laying the fiber for
Okay, so
this.
that was for fiber.
But we do have the MiFis still.
Yeah.
Those are still loanable to a student. We actually even have bus MiFis that primarily have been used for long trips to like Berlin. Or any coach knows through Mr. Stebbins that they can grab that if they know they're going on a long trip, so kids could get their work done on the bus. Which the story's up here.
The environment is there.
But the option's there. Thing
Okay.
too.
So, but the rural
Yeah.
broadband may solve any MiFi issues we have, I guess.
Yeah, because the person would get internet
Right,
at home
that's-
instead
I guess
of having to
that's
rely
where-
on a cell
Yeah.
service.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that-
and one of the things they were trying to do, and I only know because a couple teachers here have done it, but obviously fiber doesn't always go to every house, especially if you live like in Grafton or whether. But so this is supposed to broaden that. But I still think after, let's just say it this way, the way I understand it, like if you live down a dirt road after 5 miles, they'll cover up to that 5 miles, but after that you have to cover it. But they never done that before. Usually it was however far you were in, you had to buy it if you wanted it.
Yeah.
So there's that benefit. Still a little bit of shortfall, but I think just the breadth and scope of what they're doing is better than what they're doing now. So I think it's a pretty big deal. Yeah.
Plus, the electric co-op is now starting to do internet. They have gotten approval to start supplying broadband internet, and so they're in the process of setting everything up. And so, if you're a New Hampshire Electric customer, as many people in Dorchester or parts of Canaan, parts of Grafton are, next year, I hope they say that it should start coming online. But that would be a nice option too, because.
Yes, it will.
All right. Anything else for Craig? All right. You have the other quarterly reports in your packet. There's curriculum from Angel. There's special ed from Crispizo. And there is a Butler bus one as well. If you have any questions for those, Amanda will take her best attempt.
Sure.
Anything on curriculum? Any questions for that? Angel is always up to something, and this is no different. And then special ed, if anyone has any questions on that. I just noticed in his special ed report, he just said 3 students we've had to place out of district because of a lack of key staffing to run programs. Is that key staffing internally?
Yes, and by that he means like, we have, like the NEC program.
Yeah.
Staffing, so it's not like we're missing a paraprofessional,
Right.
so the person has to go out. It's those students with higher needs that if we were able to find special educators, or if the NEC program was able to find special educators, we'd be able to run those programs at our schools.
Gotcha.
But we just currently do not have the staff to be able to do that,
Gotcha.
nor does most of the contracted services that
Sure.
are out there.
Do we send any students to Crotched Mountain? Do you
We
know?
do not.
Okay, I just saw them in the news again, so.
Yes, we do not.
Yeah. Anything on bus?
It's just sad.
Yeah, it's just sad. Like,
I mean, I don't know what else
At this
to
point, I
say.
don't know what else to say, but we should schedule a work session sometime after the first of the year to talk about, just as part of a meeting, to talk about what we want out of our next bus contract.
Yeah.
And because we've come up with some things, that little caveats and things we've learned along the way. And,
Yeah.
you know, perhaps we want to make sure they're in our next bus contract or still in the contract or whatever, so.
One of the conversations I remember having quite a long time ago, we had some reps, New Hampshire reps come here, and there was a discussion on
Licensing.
how long it takes for
Oh, yeah.
them to go through the process in New Hampshire. And like they even mentioned, 2 drivers were halfway through the New Hampshire training process. I mean, they left because they took full-time jobs, but, so do we even know if anything happened on that?
I don't know of
Improvements were
anything.
made?
Nothing happened,
I don't
I'll tell
think
you,
it-
nothing happened.
It still
It's
takes as long.
I mean,
Yeah.
right now, we're sort of, this is how I look at the timeline for bus drivers. Right now, I'm starting to think, okay, if they found a candidate,
Yeah.
even if that candidate had a CDL, it still might take them 2 months to get through the system. So it would be after January, for them to even be able to start to drive for us. If they don't have a CDL, it's going to take even longer. So it would be a spring anticipation. So really, we need people, when we start to think, I'll start to think about what our needs are for buses for next year, so fall of '23. And I want to start to get those people hired in February if possible. That's how long it takes.
Which will be difficult, of course, if we're considering what our options are for
Yeah.
Yeah.
contracting.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, where we should probably go out to bid in March, or earlier. I mean, it's tough at that time of year with meeting and all that sort of thing. But we can certain, I don't know, what time, normally it's the spring, right? You put it out to bid.
That's correct.
Is there any harm in doing it a month earlier? Aside from your existing bus company might not get the bid?
Yeah. I don't know, we'll
I
look
don't know.
into it. We'll look
Okay.
into the timeline of what we've done, but typically it has been the
Yeah,
spring.
yeah.
Do we
can-
know what the holdup at the state is? Like, is
It's-
process or
I
people?
think it's both. I think the process is very long, which is great because you do want to make sure you have qualified people.
Mhm.
But I also think they don't have enough testers, right?
Mhm.
It's sort of the same old piece. You just don't have enough people to do the testing. So it's very, very limited.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
I think part of the timing process for when we look at that, we tend to wait until after a budget is passed.
Yeah,
So we have a better sense of what we're working with.
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
But it doesn't preclude us from having conversations internally about
No.
what the needs are, or what the wish list is, what the deal breakers are,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, we can have it ready to go first meeting after. We can set it out to bid, request for bids, like the meeting on our organizational night, the one after the March election. So we can certainly have it ready to go and be talking about it through February, through January, February. So cool. All right. Any other? I don't see any other. Oh, Cafe Service did not have one. Maybe they can find one for next week or next time.
Sure.
It's Thanksgiving. I'm sure they're busy. I've heard good things generally from my high schoolers.
Oh, good.
So, in general, depends on what they're eating.
It'd be great if the high school a la carte options did not include $2.50 drinks,
Mm-hmm.
because that eats away
That
at
sure adds
a
up.
budget that you have set aside for. I should know better.
I should know better too, as a parent. Maybe I'll go have lunch there. Maybe I should go have lunch there sometime. I think I will. So, just show up. Brewster had lunch there the other day. He told me he sat down with some kids. All right. You said it was good. All right. Up next for new business, we have, oh, thank you, donation from the Enfield PTA for $1,000 for the Blue Ribbon Celebration. So looking for a motion to approve that.
Which we approved the $1,000 donation from the Enfield PTA for the Blue Ribbon Celebration at EBS.
On the second?
All right. Any questions?
To the PTA.
Much thank you. Thank you. All right, all those in favor of the motion to accept $1,000 from the Enfield PTA for the Blue Ribbon Celebration, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right, that's good to go. And up next we have donation from Friends of Mascoma for $3,393.75 for the New Hampshire Dance Institute at CES and EVS. Looking for approval on that.
Make a motion that we approve the donation of
Yeah, I got it.
$3,393.75 from Friends of Mascoma for the New Hampshire Dance Institute at the elementary schools.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Questions on this?
Sounds fun.
It's very fun. That's awesome.
And it sounds like a great photo op.
Yes. Great news article.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I saw our kids packing Thanksgiving boxes in the news. So All right.
That's great. I did not even know there was a New Hampshire dance.
I did not know either.
I know either.
And I assume this is just something Megan found that was interesting and just reached out to Friends of Mascoma to see if they would help sponsor it, because it wasn't in like the experience in the arts or any of our budgeted stuff, so
Right.
that's great. Awesome. That's,
Oh, it says a week-long residency.
that's
So
awesome.
it was probably part of her artist in residence
Yeah.
plus.
Okay.
Right, so it was probably ate the budget for that and then cost more.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But I love it. I love seeing the,
Well, they're here.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I love having them do different stuff, you know, so that's great. All right. And I assume she got that question answered for that Kate Stewart there asked in the email about who bills who and whatnot, so.
Yes.
All right. All those in favor? Any other questions? All right. All those in favor of approving the donation from Friends of Mascoma signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. And up next, memorandum of agreement between the board and the NEA. This is on substitute teachers and teaching hours, substitutes.
So yes.
Yeah, I was
this
gonna
is
say,
a
do you want to speak to
proposal-
this?
Sure. So this is a proposal from the MVREA to help combat some of the substitute shortages that we have. So basically, this would be us paying them a rate to substitute during one of their planning periods, if they were available to. So, you know, there are pluses and minuses, of course, both ways with it, right? We are looking at a pretty tight substitute budget. Again, Rob ran some numbers. I'm not sure we would have a lot of funds to pay them, you know, in addition to, but it would also make sure that kids are in less study halls. So, you know, it would definitely help to make sure that kids aren't just dumped into a study hall when people are absent. But we would have to put some parameters around it as far as what does it look like if we come to a point where we're like within the budget where we just don't have the funds to do this and hire regular substitutes. So
Do we know what they are? You're just gonna have to work that out.
we would have to work it out.
Yeah.
So if you really honestly wanted to sort of table this and think about it, we could look at more numbers wise exactly where we're at, although I think Rob did a lot of that work today. But I also really want to talk to Tina Fleming and see, I know we just hired at the last meeting 2 or 3 substitutes for her. So this, you know, they did give us a while ago. I just found it in my email. So I am bringing it here, but I'd like to talk to Tina and see what the situation is here for this right now.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I know that during COVID, there was all sorts of people stepping up to the plate, covering for other teachers, teachers were covering for teachers, and I love to see us be able to do this personally, but, because they, you know, they work hard, so that's, I think it's good.
So we'll look at some hard numbers. Yeah, we'll table this, so we'll look at it again
Is
in
everybody
December.
good?
We'll look at some hard numbers financially of what it would potentially cost. And then also what the real needs are here at the high school.
Yeah, my only concern with this is that you would take a teacher out of their planning period, and then you would send them to a class, and they'd just be like, all right, study hall in class. You know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to sending them to another room for a study hall, another teacher would show up and be like, well, I don't know what the lesson is, so just have a study hall.
Right.
So that's not what we want to do,
That's correct, Tim, I agree.
because I can do that by sending them to the CAF or to here or whatever, you know,
Right,
so.
I agree, Tim.
Yeah, that's all I want to make sure.
Sure.
And that also goes to having really good sub notes,
Yeah, that's right.
which are super important.
Well, and also if the teacher that's covering is normally available to students for either extra help or clarification or to do a test or something like that, what are the impacts on the existing students
Mhm.
and their perhaps less access to their instructors? And then my last question would be, or concern would be, would we also be expecting to see something from the support staff when paras are covering for teachers?
Potentially, but I have some pretty strict regulations around the fact that paras may not substitute or run a class for more than 2 hours. So we
Yeah.
sort of have worked around that, but that's not a bad point either.
Yeah. Because, one gets it. Should.
Yeah.
All right. Any further discussion on that before we table it for next time?
Can you make a motion to table?
Sure.
Make a motion that we table the memo of agreement between the school board and the teachers union?
Sure. Give a second.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Table till next time. Cool. That way they see it. We officially did that. Thank you. All right. Warrant article, next on our list here is just warrant articles 2023. There's nothing in your packet for it, but I assume this is just to make sure that we had any questions, had any ideas about what we wanted for warrant articles, if there's anything special we were thinking, if there was anything we wanted to make sure out of the ordinary. But right now we're probably looking at, what, accreditation reserve?
Absolutely.
Special ed capital reserve.
Oh, we are doing special ed? I thought it was already pretty big, but we were gonna wait. But
I don't know. Always do.
maybe a lower amount.
Finance and facilities, not special ed.
I mean, capital,
I mean, excuse me, yeah.
But
Yeah,
we were gonna what?
capital reserve.
yeah,
Oh,
but not special ed. I guess I was split facilities.
yeah. Oh, the facilities special ed.
Yeah.
Or facilities special
Sorry.
ed. Facilities.
Last year you had a facilities capital reserve, accreditation, and special education,
Okay.
as well as warrant article for the negotiation for the support staff as well.
Right.
Yeah. You'll see another one for the teachers this year as well.
Yep.
Um,
So
Right.
I think that this was a valid point that it came out of the budget committee.
Right.
Was that it's better if we have some leftover money to put a little bit into special ed
Mhm.
rather than try to throw 100,000 in.
Okay.
So, we do have to be aware that if, there's over 600,000 in there, yes, that seems like a lot of money, but we could potentially be looking at one placement that would cost us $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
And those placements used to be very, very rare, and they're more and more popular. So we do have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a valid point to put $25,000 in rather than $100,000.
Yeah.
And I do know facilities, we will be looking at putting in a significant amount of money in this time, just because every project that we have potentially looked at has increased by $50,000 to $100,000. It's just an incredible amount. And I know we do have a roof that needs to be redone at CES and some other large projects. So we'll be looking at probably putting a significant amount into that. Last year, what did we put in?
150,000?
So we'd probably be looking at more than that, probably another 100,000 on top of that.
Yeah.
In just to, make sure that we can cover some of the projects that we need to.
One thing also that the budget committee brought up is a sustainability capital reserve for sustainability projects, things like solar and energy efficiency and stuff like that. I don't know if that's something that we want to entertain. I mean, it's outside of the range of regular capital reserves. Like, it's not a building improvement, like we're going to go replace a roof, but it's something that we can use to set up and do those types of projects as we are able to accumulate more money, and we can. We have to look and see if we can put the savings back into the capital reserve versus I don't think you can, because it has to be approved by voters. So we would probably see how much we saved at the end of the year, said, are you okay putting that back into sustainability, and then we'll use that money again to just keep going from it. But that's an idea.
And it might be because we've got another negotiated agreement as a warrant article. Next year, we would not have one.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the year to introduce a new, because
That's
there's
a good
more
point.
headspace and pocketbook space, hopefully.
Yep.
I also think we'll have a better concept and
Yeah,
idea for that budget than, I think it's a great idea, but.
Yeah.
We can have more of a plan.
yeah.
Or what it would look like.
We can talk about it at finance facilities and go from there. So, okay. Just, I guess, think of that, and we'll discuss it next month, or next meeting. if you have anything else specific. So, all right, up next, some second readings. Anyone wants to take a stab at those?
Our 3 second readings.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I make a motion that we, I'm gonna back them up, that we approve for second reading, policy IMBA, distance education, policy JJJ, access to public school programs by non-public charter school and home educated students, and policy JLDBB, suicide prevention and response.
All right, do you have a second? Anyone want to second that?
Oh, I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Lou.
Yeah.
All right, for second reading, so any comments on IMBA? That is essentially Blizzard bags, right?
It is, and the one change that we made since first reading was the reference to the bottom where it says written requests. So you all had requested that we put in the portion of it, the way a parent would request distance learning, right? So that was the part that you all asked we added. So we did ask written requests must be submitted to the building principal for approval. So that little section, that little last sentence there on subparagraph 2, paragraph 1, subset 2.
Oh, there it is, I see it. All right, any questions on that one? Okay. JJJ, access to public school programs by non-public charter school and home educated students. Did you make any changes in the first reading on that one?
Wait, it's here. I will find it. Thanks.
So this tightens up our policy because it was not this tight before. And this answers, covers a lot of bases, covers all your, activities, co-curricular, extracurricular, things like that.
Yeah, so the few things that we did change here were anywhere it said pupils, we changed to students.
Thank you.
We did change in the first sentence, all students legally residing in Mascoma.
Mm-hmm.
We did change in section A, the 1, 2, 3, third paragraph. We changed randomly to be by lottery. We cleaned up some of the asterisks that were there. And some more pupils were changed to students.
All right.
Top of page 2, second paragraph still has some people running around.
Oh, where is it?
Second paragraph,
On page 2?
yes, at the top,
I saw
fourth
that.
line down.
I see that pupil. Good eye.
Oh, yes.
Running around.
All right, so catch that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's beautiful.
Any other questions on that one?
Pupils, right.
Okay. And then JLDBB, suicide prevention and response.
And there were no changes to that.
This is pretty legal. And as you know, it is on all student ID cards. That's state law now, and it's on back. So it's pretty cool. All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of second reading and adoption of policy IMBA, policy JJJ, and policy JLDBB, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. And agenda items for next meeting. We have, like you said, the MSDS 25. We'll have budget approval, warrant articles, regular committee reports, approval of our budget version, and so you said the 5th is the joint school board
Right.
school budget committee meeting. So that is a Monday night. Will that be in the auditorium or will it be in here?
Oh, Lord.
Do we know yet?
It's
I
in
don't
the
know.
auditorium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Auditorium.
I just figured we'd just show up and
There was quite a discussion about
listen for the voices. So, yeah. So we'll have that. Anything else you can see? You think, Amanda? Or anyone
I
else?
don't think so. The only other thing would be whether usually the first meeting in December, we ask if we need the second meeting in December.
That's
Oh,
right.
yes.
Yes. So we'll ask that question.
Yeah.
I'll do my best to make sure we don't need it.
Yeah, it might be a big meeting, but that's okay. All right.
So the next
meeting in December is?
The 5th, Monday, with the budget committee.
No, I know that part.
The
Hours.
6th.
The 6th.
Oh, no.
No.
I thought it was 13th.
13th.
The 13th, okay,
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
the 13th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought you were asking me a trick question.
No,
You're like, oh.
no, I don't do that
Maybe
because
the
I'm
fifth.
too confused myself.
All right, that sounds good. So be thinking of any warrant articles, think of anything else, think of anything else for budget-related stuff. Bring it the Monday after next. So, and all right, public comment. Anything else? All right, all right, cool. And we have, as you can see here, personnel nominations and such. We have a whole bunch of grant-funded positions for after-school math teachers at the elementary school, which is awesome. And for a mentor.
You do also have a resignation that we received late today.
Oh, okay.
And that was for the paraprofessional that we just hired last meeting, I believe, named Eden Burry. She is unable to accept the position. So
Okay.
you all had approved her, so we did ask for a formal resignation.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on these? With the addition of, I can't remember her name now.
Eden Berry.
Eden Berry as
B-U-R-Y.
resignations, so you can write that in. All right, all those in favor of the nominations as presented and the resignation as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions.
Who made the motion?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, wow, okay. I'm just trying to get, I'm looking at the clock on 6:59, I can do this. All right, you make a motion? All right. I'll second the motion then. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. There. Thank you. I really was trying. All right. So we have non-public?
Oh, we do, for the purpose of hiring.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we go into non-public.
Danielle second. All right, Danielle?
Yes.
Tim? Yes. Hope?
Yes.
Candace?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
All right. That's just going in and non-public. I have to say your name and then you have to say yes. That's the law.
I go over there.
So that you make sure you just don't go, hey, everyone.
Yeah.